It's my pleasure now to introduce Mr. Nizar Al Adsani, the Deputy Chairman and CEO of the Kuwait Petroleum Corporation. Mr. Adsani started his career with Kuwait Oil in 1984 as a mechanical engineer and held several positions with that company, and he then joined KPC in 1999. Please join me in welcoming him to give the keynote address.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, Sabahkum Allah bil khair. Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. For this important event, such events play a vital role in fostering trade prospects and addressing policies that may slow down our industry. JIPCA can be a platform for effective cooperation and regional sustainable development to achieve free trade. We must not allow our immediate concerns to cloud our vision for the future. It is essential to view the future possible industry trends to plan strategies that best match future challenges. Policies to deal with future energy needs and ensure their sustainability must be set now. According to the UN, global population will expand from just over 7.1 billion in 2013 to almost 9 billion in 2040, and 80% of whom are likely to be living in cities. Prosperity will spread and middle class will expand. The global average economic growth over the period 2014 to 2040 is about 3.5% per annum. Over 2014 to 2040, energy demand increases by 47%. Fossil fuel shares converge towards similar levels after 2030s. Gas is likely overtaken over other fuels by 2040, but oil continues to be comparably one of the larger energy sources. Technology has always been a key determinant of energy requirements. We appear to be entering an innovative period in energy development when more resources can be devoted to scientific research and technological development. The rate of penetration of new technologies will continue to pressure oil demand. The net result, oil demand will grow from the current 91.3 million barrels per day in 2014 to 109.8 million barrels per day by 2040, or on average of 700,000 barrels per day on an annual increase. The use of oil in transport, where half of the world oil market and most of its growth is impacted by competition from other industries. Coal on OPEC crude will be over 40 million per day by 2040, compared with the existing production of close to 31.5 million barrels a day. This increase will start towards 2030. The industries faced with technological as well as environmental challenges that are shaping future industry trends and policies. Technologies are driving new reserves of unconventional oil and gas. Shale oil production has been so far resilient to oil prices. Coal on OPEC crude may remain with the 31 million barrels per day up to 2020. This will mean weaker oil prices environment and will continue for some time. Future market weaknesses will be balanced not only by OPEC managing its members' production when prices are weak, but also by the response of producers of non-conventional oil. Competition from outside the oil industry is real and present. Threat to demand for oil. Longer-term refining competition will escalate as global demand growth decelerates. These competitive pressures will fuel well-positioned, successful refineries and will eventually lead to refinery closures. Products trade dynamics in the Arabian Gulf are about to change dramatically over the coming years, as incremental refinery supplies are expected to outpace demand growth in the region, shifting the Arabian Gulf region to be a major global products exporter and raising its net exports. Thanks to the new complex refineries and upgrading projects, most refineries in the Gulf regions will be capable of producing products meeting stringent European specification. Therefore, the bulk of the incremental net gas oil and jet fuel export from the Arabian Gulf will be targeting European markets, competing with export volumes from India, Russia, and the US, and put pressure on refinery margins globally and specifically in Europe. Low oil price have been a prominent feature of the market since the second half of 2014. The oil market is signaling that prices could stay lower for longer, delivering a fresh threat for energy exploration and production companies. Companies making long-term investment decisions rely on prices of future contracts 1 or more years in advance. Producers trade futures and options contracts for coming years to lock in prices for the oil they plan to sell in the coming years. Most of the world's biggest oil companies have already slashed investment spending, with many of them cutting jobs. Underscoring the severity of the oil price pressure, they also have turned to investors to help them preserve cash. Low oil prices offer opportunity to improve energy pricing and reform subsidies in the region to achieve long-term benefits for these countries. Despite low oil prices, a long-term focus favors steps to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and expand investment in renewable energy for electricity production and engage the private sector. Overall, the impact on the downstream petrochemical industry may be positive if the prices continue to dip in the long term. However, several factors remain certain that the growing demand for energy and the critical role of natural gas for both producing and consuming countries. These factors will foster new partnership, innovative advances in technology, and an increased attention to investing in local talents, as well as sharing and transferring global know-how. We remain optimistic that the petrochemical industry within the GCC will retain its competitiveness, solid growth, and remain profitable. Industries such as petrochemical and fertilizer, which use crude or its derivative as a feedstock, have inevitably benefited from the declining oil prices and hence improve petrochemical manufacturer profit margins. Yet the industry has been facing new challenges with rising costs and greater competition from other energy-intensive industries like power generation and water distillation. Excluding Qatar, GCC petrochemical expansion is faced with a shortage of feedstock. Faced with uncertain environment, producers as well as consumers are expediting efforts to mitigate risk and optimize profits. In the GCC, we are expanding petrochemical production, targeting a value-added portfolio, supporting job and wealth creation. The driver for diversification of production is the shortfall of gas in the GCC and reduced exposure to low oil prices. We are building large-scale refineries with associated petrochemical complex to have the option to move away from gas and toward liquid and to benefit from integration of the overall operation. State of Kuwait is seeking to cultivate downstream interest in markets with high potential demand growth. The Asian market in particular, and specifically in Vietnam, KPI, Kuwait Petroleum International, joined with Petro-Vietnam and Japanese Idemitsu Kosan and Mitsui to construct 200,000 barrel per day refinery in Nai Sam province in Vietnam. KBC subsidiary PIC is actively evaluating acquisition opportunity petrochemical projects in India and North America. Kuwait has started on its new clean fuel refinery at Azor at a 615,000 barrel per day capacity. The objective is that the refinery will provide feedstocks for power as well as petrochemical. We continue to seek opportunities for building new refineries in Asia. In conclusion, the world economy is not only in slow recovery mode, but also confronted with serious challenges. The European debt crisis, slowing demand growth in China, is impacting the petrochemical industry. Global economic uncertainty will continue to challenge corporate policy formation in the oil and gas industry, from creating responsible policies and a commitment to best practice environmental standards, to developing global partnership in key markets. While global demand for oil and gas continues to grow, the industry demographics are changing. Future growth is certain, but we also need to transfer operation across the barrel to be more competitive, effective, and profitable. Thank you kindly for your attention.